Okay, welcome home. I'm your anime manga mom. I have had so many recommendations to watch Violet Evergarden through TikTok, through YouTube lists, and even in the comments, saying this is something that's a little bit harder hitting, a little bit more substantial, a more mature anime. And wow, let me tell you, it starts out slow. It's a slow burn, and you need that to get the foundation for the emotional weight that this thing carries. If you're gonna watch it, make sure you have tissues because you will cry. um, it's one of those types of anime that I think has the potential to change your point of view, to just alter your way of experiencing reality if you find it at the right moment. If you're at the right developmental or paradigm shifting, you know, event in your life and you happen upon this anime, it can change you. It's that powerful. As long as you can stick with it. First couple of episodes are very foundational and kind of a little slower. Follow that 3 episode rule with getting hooked on an anime and you know put into it. This is a gorgeous anime, and it's it's very romantic. Obviously, written by a woman. Uh, her name is Kana Akatsuki, and it was done by Kyoto Animation, which had a tragic fire shortly after, in which several of the people who worked there died, and it's it's heartbreaking what happened. They did such a great job on this anime. It's beautiful. The score is wonderful, and it's very, very hard hitting. There are only 13 episodes, so you don't have to sign your future away to watch it. Um, there are a couple of movies. I haven't watched the movies yet, so maybe I will get into that soon. But Violet Evergarden is a war orphan, a warrior maiden. She is found not being able to speak, read, or write. She doesn't understand anything because she's kind of had to suppress all of that and just develop her instinct and skill to kill and keep herself alive. Um, she is given to the man who finds her, his brother, as a tool of war. Uh, she's too young to enlist, but because she's unattached, she's an orphan, then she is considered a military asset. Although the Major Gilbert, he does not see her as such. He knows that she is a child, that she is a girl, and he gives her the name Violet, hoping that she will one day grow into this name and not just be a tool, but a person, a whole person. He treats her as a comrade, as a friend. Um, maybe as a child, I don't know exactly the uh, nature of their relationship. It does seem a little age gappy for me, but it's regardless, it is very intense. It's a very intense relationship that they have. Um, he gives her her name. He gives her her first gift. Um, Says that I guess it's a gift giving holiday. I'm not sure what gift giving holiday it is, but he says, "What would you like?" She's very practical, and so she has no need for anything frivolous. Although, as they're walking through the marketplace, something catches her eye. It's a beautiful brooch that sparkles and shines and has the exact same color as Major Gilbert's eyes. And he is everything to her. He is her reason for living. He is her commanding officer. He is her caretaker, her provider, her friend, her teacher. He is so much to her that when she looks at this thing and has the same emotion that she feels, she finds it absolutely beautiful. And so he buys it for her, and it's her first gift. His his friend, Claudia Hodgins, When he gets out, he starts his own company, and it is a postal service. They deliver letters all over the place, and he even has a ghostwriting team of auto memory dolls. When she overhears the sentiment being given to an auto memories doll uh, that says, I love you, she remembers that that was the last thing that her major said to her. And she's like, I want to know what this means. And there are so many different types of love. So, and she doesn't really know and understand any of them. And she doesn't even know how many types there are. But she wants to understand this concept. A lot of people have made uh, inquiries as to whether Violet might be autistic or if it's just an affect from the post traumatic stress disorder and the early orphaning, um, which either could be the case. They've even said that she has some sort of like autistic tendencies, like she feels, but she doesn't understand it. She doesn't pick up on subtle nonverbal cues. She is very matter of fact and kind of blunt with her letters. She just kind of gives the facts and doesn't understand the sentiment behind it. She mouths objects like she's given a dog and she kind of chews on it a little bit, or she uh, puts her brooch in her mouth. So, kind of autistic tendencies there. But like I said, it could also be just her upbringing. Um, but I could understand why this show in particular would be very appealing to neurodivergent people. It has the exaggerated emotions uh, that really help project those and make them very clear. And you start out, you build through these 13 episodes to her understanding. She starts out with the question of, what does it mean, I love you? I have to follow the orders to live and be free. That's the last thing the major told her. She comes to work for Mr. Hodges because that was the major's wish. Although she feels like if her job is done, if she's no longer a needed war tool, just discard her, you know? Uh, she decides that she wants to be an auto memory doll to further understand people and their emotions and what love is. So she goes to the school for it. Uh, and she is very, very skilled in typing. She's very fast, very proficient. She's good grammatically. Has wonderful punctuation. She's very fast, but she doesn't understand the sentiment that somebody's trying to say. So oftentimes her letters kind of have the opposite impression than the person is trying to give. When they speak the facts and kind of their doubts, which is exactly the opposite thing they want to convey. They don't want to expose themselves, so they kind of shroud it, but then that's not the sentiment you want to express. Anyway, it, when Violet gets failed, her friend goes to comfort her by taking her to one of her favorite places, and that's the bell tower overlooking the city. And she explains to her why it's so important to her, her family issues, her upbringing, and Violet understands what she wants to say. It's a short letter that she writes, but it's enough to get her to pass because she really understood the heart of it, and it really affected the brother. Her friend Laculia wanted to express how much she loved her brother, how much she was glad that he was still around, and kind of broke him out of his complete guilt and grief for not being able to protect his parents. Now he realizes that he has somebody still loving and still depending on him, and it helps him to slowly come out of that shell. When she goes with fellow auto memories doll Iris to her hometown to write a letter because Iris has injured her hand, she finds out that it's not always easy to say I love you. It requires a lot of courage, and it's not something to be thrown around because it has the potential to change somebody's life for the good or the for good or bad. If it's unrequited, then it could be extremely painful and life altering. Um, And then when she goes to ghostwrite letters for a princess, she finds that it's not easy to show someone that you love them. That sometimes flowery words cover up the sincerity of someone's heart. So sometimes the best way to express how you feel is to say it yourself. She's sent with a group of Auto Memories dolls to help copy literary works so that their knowledge could be passed on to other places and future generations. And she really inspires someone to start living their life and stop sidelining it. Um, she's really touched this man, and he shows her the loss of someone you love creates a pain in your heart of longing and missing them. And she realizes that she loves the Major, and that's what she's been feeling, is this longing of missing the Major, that he is her reason for living, and that she doesn't even have a desire to live without him. Now, there were several touching moments, and I might have even teared up a couple times, I'm not sure, but it was episode 7, which is untitled, that broke me. Everybody talks about episode 10 and how it was a emotionally impactful episode for them, but it was episode 7 that broke me. It was the playwright, and he has fallen into grief over the loss of his daughter. He had written a play for her, or started one, and hasn't finished yet. Violet inspires him to continue and finish this play for the memory of his daughter. And through her gentle listening, he discovers that he wants to cherish each and every memory of his daughter instead of letting it haunt him. The episode is very beautiful, and I really, really feel connected to the playwright and Violet in this episode. And when she cries, I cried. Yeah, there was a lot of tears during this episode, and I realized I couldn't get enough of this show. You really feel what the characters feel, and it's not, it's strong, but it's not excruciating because there's hope to it. There's celebration to it. After this, we learn of Violet's past. We see her feeling guilt as she goes to the front lines to write a letter for a soldier who wants to express things to his family back at home. He wants to go back to them. He wants to live his life, but sadly, things happen. And she realizes there are so many letters out there that will never get sent. So many letters that will never get sent because of her hands. And the guilt starts to consume her. So much so that this episode touches on veteran suicide, which is a very major issue. So much of the population of veterans deals with PTSD, and not all of them get help. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, reach out and talk to somebody. Death is devastating. And I know you're in pain, but you don't want to perpetuate that. And there are ways to get help. So please talk to someone. As she is struck with a complete guilt over what she's done, she is also struck with the fact that the Major has died. His family has accepted it. His brother, he has a grave. His mother has accepted his death. And it's time that she does too. For the longest time, she held on to denial because she needed it to keep going. But you can only live in a fantasy world for so long until you have to really accept the truth. And the truth was that the Major wasn't going to come home. And she had to accept that and move on. Episode 10 is the one that everybody marks as their favorite or most defining episode. It is an absolute tearjerker. I'm not going to talk too much about it because, yeah, that's something that I'm not going to spoil. But it just deepens Violet's understanding of what love is and how much it encompasses. And kind of from someone who is not going to be there, you get what they would want the person remembering them to feel. They want for them to feel connected, loved, not abandoned. They want them to carry the thought of them and the intentions that they have for them and to fulfill those. Um, in episode 11, we see Violet decide that human life is sacred and special, that each person has a story to be told and loved ones, and she wants for no one to ever feel this way, no one to ever die again. It's a common trope from post-war. When there's a pre-war, you want evil to be vanquished. When it's post-war, you realize that evil has touched us all, and you want for the remnants to be washed away. Finally, Violet has enough of an understanding of what happened and what it all means, and that it's not just words that are said, and the same words can be said by different people and mean different things. But now Violet knows what I love you means to her, and that was what she set out to do. I highly recommend Violet Evergarden. It is a beautiful, wonderful show. It is wonderfully animated. The score is fantastic. It is romantic and uplifting. So I recommend this show. Check it out. If you have any recommendations, drop them in the description. And I'll talk to you guys next time. Thanks. Bye.